What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Gaming Duo. I am Kelvin, the Kevlar Vest, and I'm joined by co-host Rob, the Robot. Welcome to our show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We are the podcast that discusses the latest gaming news each and every Wednesday live on YouTube and wherever you listen to your favorite podcast on Fridays at 7 a.m. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just opened up a nice cold brewski.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
Like it.
drinking a
Can't go
Miller
wrong with
Light.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
No.
I have
What do you
a
have? What are you drinking there? Looks like
iced tea.
just iced tea. No alcohol.
Yeah.
Just
No
normal iced
alcohol,
tea.
just iced tea. That's
Nice. It's like that's good.
It's just like a refresher. Just like, you know what? Let's start this episode right. Let's just kind of enjoy the ride.
Okay. I see it. I learned something about Miller Lite actually last week. It was during the Super Bowl, but Miller Lite and Coors Light are the same company.
It doesn't surprise me. I didn't know that fact, but
Yes.
it just doesn't surprise me for some reason.
Did not know that. I didn't know that. I thought they were completely two separate beer companies, and I was just like, this one's better than this one, but it's the same.
It's
same
like
brand.
Coke and Sprite. It's like the same shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
but
like
yeah, I always thought like when I was growing up, it was like Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light. Pick your poison, literally.
Right.
And
yeah, they're all
come
the
to find
same.
out that. So, anyways,
They're all the same. Rob, how have you been? How's things going? What's new? Give us the update on your life right now because we all want to know.
oh yeah, for sure. So I'm going to Puerto Rico next week, so I'll be spending 4 days there. So that'll be fun.
Okay.
I will not be podcasting from Puerto Rico.
We will. That'd be cool though. That'd be
It
cool.
would be cool. It would be cool.
Is it when I went to Puerto Rico? I think when I went to Puerto Rico, that's when they announced Sora.
Sora, yeah. I remember you were in PR when
And
you were in the hotel room when you recorded. I mean, you had to record that. We had it. Yeah,
I had to do it. And
thank
thank God we did. Thank God we did. We're gonna miss you next week, but don't worry, guys. We have a special guest coming on to our episode next week, so stay tuned for that. And it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun.
Yes. And what about you, sir? Anything going new in your life? Kids doing all right?
Kids good. Everybody's good. We're just going through the motions. I think it's nice that the weather's getting a little bit nicer.
Oh, it was like 60 degrees yesterday. It was so nice.
So we're able to like walk outside and just kind of like enjoy
freeze.
literally just walk outside and just enjoy the weather and just kind of get out of the house.
Yeah, I know 100%. I agree. I list. Yeah, I mean the weather is getting nicer. I mean, I feel like this is like kind of the lull before it actually gets nice because we're like midway in February, so we realistically only have like at most like a month left of like it being miserable. So
it's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good, especially we have a couple things coming up down the pipe later next month, which we will talk about with PAX, right?
100%.
Definitely a lot of stuff coming from that, and that's going to be our first time really going in as the gaming duo. We've been to PAX several times, right? This is going to be the first time coming into PAX after the pandemic, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see how things are and then just kind of be there as the gaming duo. So definitely check out the content that we're going to be putting out there. It's going to be dope. And yeah, man, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun couple months because we have a lot of exciting things to announce. But thank you guys for supporting us. If you want to support us even more, you can head on over to patreon.com /the gaming duo, and you can leave us a review as well on your favorite podcast services. That would be super helpful. Thank you to our Patreon supporter, Hopple. We really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Rob, let's get into part of the podcast here, part of the episode here. Let's start off with, what are you playing? What are you playing this week, Rob?
So I'm trying to beat Dead Space. I kind of took a pause off of Hogwarts Legacy because that game kind of takes a lot of your time, and I don't want to get into it and then stop to play other things. I kind of want to play it and just completely just play that.
Right.
So I'm trying to beat Dead Space. I think I'm on chapter 9 or 10. I think
You're almost done. There's
I'm
like
almost there.
12
I'm
or
there.
13 episodes.
Yeah. I think it sucks is that I've beat the game before. I've played the game before. So part of me is like, do I
You're
need
not
really
that
to beat
motivated to
it?
be
Yeah. So it did get
I heard
me a
there's an
little bit.
alternate ending though. Do you want
Is
to get
there?
that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't recommend getting it through the EA Play.
Save money.
the
but it's
software,
worth it.
whatever it's called, the launcher, because it just runs so bad on my PC. Like it just makes the game act up when I'm streaming on Discord. It acts up when I'm
Right.
streaming it live. It acts it up, and I imagine if I just bought it off of Steam, it wouldn't be doing this. I do believe it's the launcher that's making it act a little wonky with the streaming. But so that's kind of like what I've been tackling, and then I went back to Pokemon Violet.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And how's that? Do
It's
tell.
great.
Do tell.
I'm having a blast now. Before, I don't know what it was.
Really?
It just wasn't clicking with me. I was like, this is okay. There's too much going on. Like there's too many Pokemon to catch now. But now that I kind of progressed through the story a little bit, kind of like made my team my own, I'm loving it. I'm like, this is sick. They
Okay.
did a good job here. So
Nice. So you're able to kind of get by or get past all the little glitches and all the little weird stuff that happen throughout the game.
you get used to it. You kind of get immune to it in a sense that you're just like, this
Okay.
is just a game and it's gonna run like ass. So that kind of novelty like wore off for me. So I'm just kind of like, as long as the actual battling works and me going through the world is okay, I kind of look past it now. But when you first boot it up, you're like, oh my god, this game sucks. Like, you know what I mean? This
Yeah.
game runs full bore, but it's fun. I'm having a great time, and I think you should go back in and try and do it. So
I might have to jump back in. I did think about going back in, but I just wasn't really like in the mind space. I'm
motivated.
like, you know what? There's so many games coming out. There's so many games at the moment right now, like Metroid Prime.
Yes, what you're playing. Tell me about that. I'm interested. Let's spend a few minutes here.
It's really nice, man. It's really nice to just get back into that game, being apart from it for some time, for like years now, decades now at this point. It's such a nod to what Nintendo has done in the past, and it's just really delightful to get back in there and just have a good time with just the world that Metroid Prime has. You would think I wouldn't like Metroid Prime because of just, like, I think you're similar with me, right? Where you don't like to retrace your steps. You don't like going back and forth with like, okay, I know this place is going to be open at some point. I have to like find something for me to get into this level or this area. And so going through like the back and forth thing kind of like frustrates us, I feel like, right? We're kind of like in the same mindset when it comes to that.
Yeah, Dead Space makes you do that a little bit. Resident Evils make you do
Right.
that. They make you a little backtrack a little bit, and that's kind of annoying.
But this one, I feel like it does it like an extra step, which is fine. I've learned to love that within like the Metroid games, but I don't know. This one is just hitting all the check boxes, man. Like I just love how everything works so well. Everything looks gorgeous. Like this remaster really is like truly remastered. Like it
Like the
is like
definite way
they
to play
did
it.
a great
Right.
job. I did post something on Twitter, just like even, and I don't remember if this was in the original, but like when you shoot like a bomb or something, you see your face from the helmet, like just like the
Yes,
glare
and
from the
it
helmet. Like
splatters onto your.
it's so
Yeah,
nice, man. Like that's just like a nice little touch, and the controls feel great. Everything about it just really feels like, it kind of feels like a proper title, like a proper title in 2023. Like
Lem-
it doesn't feel old, it doesn't feel outdated. It feels right at home.
I was going to ask you about the controls. I know previously the GameCube, when you played on the GameCube, you kind of had like a weird analog thing going on. Like you only kind of moved with the one analog stick, and then looking up was kind of strange. So, how is the
100%
controls
resolved.
now? It's better.
It's 100% resolved. Um, there's times where I do feel like I mess up the buttons. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to jump, but instead I turn into I morph into the ball,
Mhm.
and I don't know if it's just me being an idiot or just not really, or feeling like that, like these buttons should be switched somehow. You can't switch any of your layout. It is what it is. But regardless, it is like you get used to it. It's not like something that's like really messing up my gameplay. Overall, man, I'm having a great time. I'm progressing through the game relatively quickly, which is nice, and I'm just having fun. Like it's just fun. It's not overly difficult. I'm just kind of doing, like, going through missions, and just going through the worlds and just having a great time. It does a great job. It doesn't hold your hand at all. It just kind of like lets you like
Play,
travel
go.
and just
Yeah.
play and just make sure you kind of you find ways to get and progress through the levels. You don't get frustrated because you can backtrack as much as you can, and you can try to find other avenues to get into, and eventually you'll get to the spot like, oh, okay, now I understand, I have to get through here because I need this certain this certain like new equipment or something like that, and I'm like, okay, I get it now. So it does a great job. I love it. I'm having a great time. I didn't think I wasn't gonna have a great time, so I'm just satisfied, you know.
Yeah, I definitely I heard or watched a video of them comparing it to the GameCube game, like side by side
Yeah,
comparison. And if you look at the GameCube game actually holds up really well the test of
it
time. So
does,
yeah.
but you, it's funny because when I'm playing the game, I'm like, huh, this looks like how I remember it, right?
Mm,
But when I look back at it, I'm like, oh no, I definitely see the difference. Like there is a huge
yeah,
difference. It
there's a lot
doesn't
more
look
reflections
bad.
and stuff like that. There,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. But
yeah. The GameCube version doesn't look bad by any means, but you can tell that they did a lot of work on this one.
yeah, I think I emulated it not to like I think it was on my Steam Deck. I think I did it, or maybe it was on my PC. I don't remember. I was replaying Metroid Prime just because I wanted to,
Yeah,
but I do remember the hardest entry point for me were the controls. The controls were kind of a pain in the butt, and I felt like I was
yeah.
fighting it there sometimes. So I love that they kind of redid the controls for this. I think that's kind of like the biggest
That's
piece.
the biggest piece that they needed to do. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they did it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing the game, and that's really it. That's all I'm playing right now. We'll see what else I kind of dive into, but I mean, I have Hogwarts as well, so I want to get into that as well. But I do want to kind of get rid of some of my backlog to then dive into that game because I feel
Yeah,
like
because
I just want to like just kind of dedicate some time to that
that's
game by
where
itself.
I'm
You
at
know?
too.
Yeah.
I know Resident Evil 4 remake is coming out,
God.
so we have
Fuck.
March, so we got to be Hogwarts Legacy before that comes out, so
Oh
we can
my
tackle
god,
that one.
that's not gonna happen, man. Yeah, man, there's just a lot of games coming out, but one step at a time. Rob, let's get into The Last of Us episode 5. Um, we both saw it, and I want to know your thoughts. What did you think of this episode? Because this episode was pretty cool. So let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'll start off. So with The Last of Us, so far, I think the previous episode wasn't as like highly regarded compared to the one previously because that was it was a cry fest. It was just like so emotional.
Yeah.
And then you kind of saw a little bit of a dynamic with Joel and Ellie. You're starting to see that. This episode, I felt like the most like Last of Us in this episode. Like everything's coming together finally, and you're seeing the dynamic between Joel and Ellie in real time, and it's actually focusing on things that happened in the game. And they did like the whole sniper scene that was 100% in the game. Like how
Yeah.
that was so cool.
Which how does Joel have so many bullets?
It's a sniper. So I Jess asked me the same thing. She's like, "How does he have
Really?
limited ammo?" And it's a sniper's nest. So that guy was probably sitting there, and he had just like a cache of just ammo just hanging out. So it's literally made for snipers. So he probably had a ton of bullets from the guy that was literally sitting there sniping
All right.
people.
I'll take that.
So
I'll take that.
yeah,
What did you think of Sam and Henry in this?
fantastic,
Fantastic, right?
fantastic. The performance. I don't know the actors' names, but I think Sam was incredible. I know I was reading I was looking at they do the interview afterwards
Yeah,
the show.
yeah.
I didn't know that he was actually deaf
Yes, dude.
in real
So
life.
smart. It's fantastic how they did that. It's so cool.
Yeah, and it's just like for him like to communicate with everyone else to like this is how you got to act, this is how you got to play your character. I'm like that just shows you the amount of dedication these people have when playing when making this series, and I really loved this last episode. I think this last episode is probably my favorite so far.
Yeah.
What about you?
I agree. This was by far one of my favorite. I mean, I looked at Alyris and her jaw was dropping like 3 or 4 times. You know what I mean? And they killed it with Sam and Henry.
Well, literally.
I think their dynamic. Spoilers. Yeah, they killed it with them, and I mean that in a way of like they made sure to change it up a little bit because they're not necessarily the same as the ones in the game, right? Obviously, we just talked about Sam is not deaf in the game. You know, he talks, he has conversations with Ellie. This one, it's a different dynamic. You know, he has leukemia. Like there's so many things, so many layers to Sam now and it's so many layers to Henry as well, because now he's more of a father figure, more of that like protector of Sam, and it
Right.
just really embodied that whole episode. Like that really made me feel like I cared about these two in like that short, 45 an hour episode. Um, so that dynamic was cool. I love the clickers. I love how they were brought into this episode
The
and this
bloater.
scene. The bloater one, but definitely like when it started, like the ground started caving in, and then they just started swarming out of there. That scene, phenomenal, dude. Like that looks so dope. It looks so cool. And then the little baby clicker, like the little girl,
Yeah, that was insane.
like
Where she got the
killed it.
one character that everyone hated.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
what's her name? No, what's her name? I don't remember her name, but
Yeah, I don't remember.
the one chick that wanted Henry dead.
Yep. Yep.
Because he killed her brother, and I'm so glad that she got the like. I was just like, please just end it because she's annoying.
Yeah,
But they did a good job
yeah,
casting her
and
too.
they ended both characters. They ended both new characters for this specific episode,
Yeah,
which was interesting. But yeah, the clicker scene, dope. Like that was really cool. That made me feel like holy shit, like this is crazy, and it's somewhat similar to the game, but they changed it up a little bit. Overall, fantastic episode. I love the scene of, spoilers again, how Sam, we find out Sam has turned into has turned, and similar to the game, but again a little bit different in that sense, and everything about it just adds a layer of love to it, because they're dedicating based off of the game, but they add things to kind of enhance everything, like we've talked about plenty of times already. And it's gratifying to see. It's like really nice to see, like, okay, cool, like this is a nice touch. Like I don't feel like I'm wasting my time because I've already played the game. No, I want to know what's going on, because they change things up so much that it enhances everything.
yeah. I think what the show does very well, even more so better than the game, is how they can make characters that you meet in that episode and you care about them so much within one episode. There's no real character development prior to that. It's just this is what you're getting in the one episode. And how attached were you to Henry and Sam? But in the episode, and when that happened, that like hurt. You're like, oh my god. Same thing will happen with what's his name from the 2 episodes back, Nick and what are their names? The 2 guys.
Nick. Oh.
I can't remember the name.
I don't
Anyways,
remember.
but
Fred
basically,
and what's his name?
yeah. But the fact that like you met those characters in the episode for the first time, and by the end of the episode, you're just like, oh my goodness, these were amazing characters. I think that's what Last of Us is killing right now, is the fact that they can make these characters feel so impactful with just one episode.
Right. Yeah, man. I am looking forward to episode 6. I think I know where it's leaning towards, so it's gonna be really, really cool to see how that kind of does things and how they kind of portray those episodes. So we shall see. But Rob, let's get into the news finally. It's a spicy one.
Spice.
News number 1 here: Xbox Game Pass cannibalizing sales. This is from Kotaku. Microsoft has confirmed that putting games on Game Pass lead to a market decline in base sales. This is also reported by GamesIndustry.biz, where the confirmation was based on a provisional report that Microsoft 69 billion, that whole merging with Activision that we discussed plenty of times. I think it's been a year now at this point. 277 page document that kind of had like one little short paragraph confirming that a radicated % decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition on Game Pass was shown. This contradicts everything that basically Phil Spencer was saying, the head of Xbox in 2018, stating that the titles to the service actually boost sales. This is all due to those legal battles from Microsoft currently that they're facing from the acquisition, which many companies, including Sony, fear of the popular franchises such as Call of Duty being exclusive to one console. Rob, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is very political in the gaming industry right now, and so I want to know, what do you think it is? Do you think Game Pass really is cannibalizing sales for games?
This is a tricky question. Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and
Why?
no.
Why yes? Why yes?
Yes, because I don't need, I don't feel the need to buy an Xbox game or a game on Xbox because I have Game Pass, and I secretly hope that the game will come on Game Pass. So I kind of wait to see if it will come on Game Pass. And especially for PC players, exclusively speaking for us, that we won't really necessarily buy an Xbox game unless it will come out for Game Pass. And majority of the time they do. So like for example, Halo Infinite was on Game Pass. Gears of War 6 will probably come on Game Pass, right? So these are things that will hurt bottom line. So yes, in a sense, people are going to pick up Game Pass because they get those games included. But how much is Game Pass a year, right? It's $15 a month, give or take, right? That equals out to a couple games per person a year, right? Maybe 4 or 5 games. But now they lost all of like that money that would have generated for Halo. Like, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it does hurt, because people are like, well, I will just get it on Game Pass and I don't need to buy any games because I'm already playing this other game that's on Game Pass. Right. My backlog's too much. Why would I buy another game? So I think it's weird. It's a weird mix. What do you think? You're thinking the same thing?
Yeah, I think I agree. It's both yes and no, but I'm going to take a little different approach where yes, it cannibalizes to a certain extent, or cannibalizing is very strong. Maybe like let's just say it declines gaming sales, right? But I don't think it affects Microsoft Studios. I don't think it affects their like first party titles. I think what it really comes down to, it affects the third party titles and the smaller studios, right? Because if you think about it, so a studio releases their game, months go by, maybe the game has stopped selling well, and it's just kind of like on a decline, or is that constant? And so they reach out to Xbox. Microsoft decides to acquire them, or put on Game Pass, not acquire them. Gives them a check, cool, and then that's it. That game is now just on Game Pass, and it doesn't really increase or decrease in sales. It is just part of Game Pass now, right? Whereas Microsoft has games like Halo, Gears, like you said, they aren't really concerned about those sales, because as long as you're buying Game Pass, as long as you are in Game Pass subscription, that's all they care about. So yeah, it benefits them if you put their games in Game Pass, because now, okay, maybe let's say Halo would have sold like 7 million copies or something, right? At the very end tail of the game's lifespan. If you put it on Game Pass, it's still like people are still there. People are still staying in that subscription. So they're getting the $15-$16 or whatever it is monthly. It's going to accumulate over time. And so that's what they want. They want that I don't know. They want people to be in Game Pass to like continue the subscription service.
Right.
That's how I kind of see it.
That makes sense. So the way I look at it too is you have the games already there. There's all of these games. I don't necessarily need to go out and buy games separately because there's games already on Game Pass, I guess, in a sense, right? I guess it almost limits you from buying more games that you...
It does, yeah.
Like, think about it, the time before Game Pass didn't exist.
Right.
You just have to go buy the game. Like, you just had to go get a game. Like,
you're buying fewer games, right? Because you don't have all that amount of money. So now you're playing fewer games. You're buying fewer games because you can only afford, X amount. And so, yeah, it's kind of a catch-22, right? You don't really get to play a lot of games because of, you don't have a Game Pass service subscription, but also it at least allows the smaller companies and smaller studios to get that revenue to the best that they could, at least, right?
Yeah. I guess a good way of putting it simply, it's like Netflix. When you have Netflix, you're less likely to go to a movie theater. Like before Netflix, if you wanted to watch a new movie, you either had to rent it on demand, like somewhere on demand, go to Blockbuster, way back in the day,
That was
or go
nice.
to the theater. That was the way you got your movies. Now people are less likely to go out to a movie, right? Or go rent it on demand because they're like, let's just pick from the selection of Netflix that we have that we pay a subscription for. So now those people, which you normally would buy a movie from, they're not getting that
Right.
money because they're just on Netflix. So
Right.
I think it's not necessarily an Xbox thing or Game Pass.
Mhm.
I think it's just a subscription thing. I think it's just how it is.
If you look at Hi-Fi Rush, right? Let's look at Hi-Fi Rush as an example again. That game came out day one on Game Pass, and it was kind of like just like a bombshell, right? First release there.
Amazing game.
I
Love
don't
it.
know how well it sold. We will find out, I guess, because the NPD sales aren't showing yet when it released. But from what I saw, the buzz around it, everyone was playing it for a hot minute, right? And so, do you think Hi-Fi would have done well without Game Pass?
No,
Like
no.
if they would have just sold like, hey, this game is coming out. Let's say they just dropped it without the marketing, just like they did, but it's not coming out on Game Pass. On Game Pass, you have to pay $60 or $70, whatever.
No, because again, you'd have to rely on word of mouth, being like, this game is awesome. So maybe because of how
Everyone's
how,
saying, "Oh, it's so good," right?
I don't think it was. I don't think it would be a $60 game if they did drop it, but people are less likely to pick it up 100% because they're going to risk their hard-earned money to buy the game. What I think is good about it is now if Hi-Fi Rush 2 comes out, people are more likely to buy it, even if it's not on Game Pass.
Yes, good call. Yeah. It's a very good way to get your game out there, word of mouth, right? And then when you decide to make another one, right, that you kind of have like that the groundwork all set up, right? So now people know about this game. Now people understand what this game is.
Right.
So now you're able to sell this hopefully at a better way, right?
Yeah. If I was Xbox, I'd be a little more, I don't know, strategic with how long games are out on Game Pass for. I know they go through the games and they, shuffle them around. They remove stuff, add stuff all the time. But being a little more, especially for the game, like maybe you make this game only available for 3 months, and then you take it off, and then you got to pay for it. And then someone played it, they're like, "This game was awesome. Go buy it. It was actually fantastic." So maybe they need to play around a little more with how long the games are on there for.
Yeah, I agree. Interesting battle. I'm curious to see how this all pans out. Again, all of this is just stemming from the whole like legal battle that's going on with Microsoft, and otherwise this isn't information we would even probably know about, right? If it wasn't because of the whole legal battle and the 277 page document that they have.
Right.
So I love this type of thing because it really kind of shows you like you're like a fly on the wall. You kind of see the politics behind all these things in the gaming world. So this is cool stuff to me. But will this affect Microsoft and the whole legal battle? I'm not sure. Who knows? But interesting stuff here. Moving on to number 2 here. God of War Ragnarok's story was completely different in its early stages of development here. This is from Kotaku. An interview with Ragnarok's narrative director, Matt Sophos. Sophos and story lead Richard Gauber. They spilled the beans on a very different story when the game was early in development. They pitched the idea that Kratos died in the first fight with Thor. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Kratos already died several times in God of War.
Oh, yeah. He died a bunch.
The third time.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. He wouldn't be permanently dead, though, as Atreus would rescue him from hell, but it wouldn't be the Atreus we know. All right, now this is crazy, right?
Yeah.
It would have been an older version of Atreus. 20 years would have passed, and you would play as an adult Atreus. Obviously, they didn't take that route due to Eric Williams saying that Kratos had died and come back too many times, so it wouldn't be as impactful. And that, my friends, I agree with. But the storyline with him being dead for 20 years, Atreus brings him back, and that would be kind of epic. That would have been pretty cool. What do you think?
Well, it would have been the writing thing all over again. They would have pulled the rug under you. You're playing as Kratos in the beginning, and then now just like, just kidding, he died. You play as Atreus now. Which
right.
I will say, after playing the game, and as spoilers if you haven't played God of War, but you do play as Atreus, take control of them. I will say I did enjoy playing as Atreus.
You did.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Agreed. Yeah, I did too.
So if they had a fleshed out version of adult Atreus, that'd be
I didn't want to play for him too long though. I
yes.
think the way they separated was fine, and sometimes it took way too long. There was a certain scene or a certain part in the game where I'm just like, okay, this is
I know
way
what
too
part you're
much
talking about.
Atreus,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be here anymore. Like, let me be Kratos. But I agree. They definitely fleshed him out pretty well. But this is cool. Like, this is again behind the scenes stuff that I like, where we could have gotten a completely different story, a completely different storyline that would have impacted the game entirely. And so seeing the mind behind God of War and seeing what they would have done differently, this is cool. Like having Atreus 20 years older, and then Kratos being in hell, like just trying to fight, him from trying to grab him again from the underworld, like that
Again.
would have been cool. But again, we've done that before. We've done this,
Exactly.
so like he said, not as impactful, but interesting nonetheless.
Do you think with future installments of God of War, because there will be future installments of God of War, because they're going to be going to different mythologies and stuff like that.
Right.
Do you see it more as Kratos not necessarily taking the focal point and going through playing as different characters like that? Like, would you be open to that, or would you want to see you just want to be Kratos the entire time?
At some point, they have to kind of move him aside, right? I
Or at least
think
make like half the time, like you're only Kratos half the time, or you're this character. Because I did like the fact that they did switch out your party members. Like you had Atreus on there, you had
mm-hmm,
Brock on there,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's one of those things. Or you had Freya as well.
Freya.
So that is a thing that I thought was neat that they switched out party members, and it makes it
Right.
feel more RPG. I think in future installments, to freshen things up, maybe play as different characters. Like maybe we will get to play an older Atreus, which would be pretty badass in the next God of War.
I think that's what they're kind of leaning towards. I just don't want it to be too much, like too heavy on switching
Yeah.
characters back and forth like so many
Yes.
times. Like at some point, Kratos is not going to be the focal point. Honestly, if you think about it, he's really not the focal point in this one as much.
No, it's
So
really Atreus. I've
it's really
honestly,
Atreus.
yeah.
And so I think that's their plan, but they have to just do it right, and I think they started pretty well with this one. So we'll see. But God of War, God of War Ragnarok 3 or whatever they want to call it, that's going to be far away. So we're
Yeah,
not
I
gonna
think it's
do
gonna
that
be in.
anytime
I think it's gonna be Middle Eastern, or not Middle Eastern. Egypt. I
soon.
think,
Okay,
which will be pretty cool. I
I
think
can see
that'd
that.
be.
I can see that.
But I don't want them going like Assassin's Creed with it.
No,
You
no,
know how,
no,
you know what I'm saying? Like the Assassin's Creed goes everywhere. The Greek, they need to
no,
make
no,
it
no.
like put the God of War feel to it. But
Yeah, this
yeah,
made sense. Like Ragnarok made sense. But yeah, interesting stuff here. A little bit more on the number size on news number 3 here. Best-selling games in January is Dead Space at number 2. And let's talk about the top 20 list here. So according to the MPD groups, Dead Space 2023 Remake was one of the best-selling games in January, just below Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Here are the top 20 lists of January. So number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Number 2, Dead Space. Number 3, Madden NFL 23. Number 4, FIFA 23. 5, Fire Emblem Engaged. 6, Elden Ring. 7, Forspoken. 8, God of War Ragnarok. 9, One Piece Odyssey. 10, Pokemon Scarlet Violet. 11, The Last of Us Part 1. 12, Sonic Frontiers. 13, Monster Hunter Rise. Then we're going to keep going. Mario Kart 8. Minecraft.
mhm.
Need for Speed Unbound. Just Dance 2023 Edition. NBA 2K23. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, and then finally at number 20, NHL 23. Rob, what does this list do for you? Because interesting list. I guess we'll circle back. Let's talk about Dead Space. You're playing it right now. Number 2 on the list here. That means it's selling pretty well, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense for it being, for it doing well. I mean, it's the new. Like if you look at this list, all these games have kind of already come out. Like their release date already happened.
Right.
Dead Space happens to be the newest flavor of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why it's doing so strong. I'd be curious to see next month. I don't think it's not going to really be there just because I think we have Resident Evil coming out, or if Resident Evil coming out in March or April. I think it's April.
April. I think it's April. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you also had people Callisto Protocol 2, which is kind of crazy that we don't even see that on here, even though that came out in January. So it just goes to show you how much people love Dead Space. People still buy Modern Warfare 2. It's weird.
You still buy Modern Warfare 2. I mean, you see God of War still in there. One Piece Odyssey. That's weird. I don't know why that's
Minecraft is another one, obviously. Need for Speed's a cool one. Forspoken's actually number 7.
Forspoken, yeah. I'm surprised that's at number 7. You're right. And then we have Miles Morales at number 19, which it's kind of really low at the list there, so that makes sense. But still hitting the top 20 list, which is interesting. Like that game hasn't, that game's over a year old, so it's really interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, Resident Evil, by the way, is coming out in March. Thanks, Samar Kijui. We appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, it does make sense that this would be the hottest seller. It's a great game. It's just really well done. So why wouldn't it be compared to what's out right now? I think there's really not much going on at the end of January. There wasn't a ton, especially in February. I mean, last year we got Horizon Forbidden West and we got Elden Ring. So that was, I remember, I think I went on vacation again too. I went to California and I was like itching. I was like, I gotta play. And they're all waiting for me. And yeah, it was nice to just have that one game come out in February. Be like, this is the one you gotta play, and that's it. So,
and then we have Mario Kart 8 that's still killing it. A number at 14 right now. Like, how is this game still selling?
People that buy their new Switches, they get Switch like kids. That's like the quintessential game to buy when you first get a Switch. Same thing with Pokemon, right? Pokemon, when you first buy a new console, that's what you get. That's just the games you get. I will say for God of War and for Last of Us Part 1, we could thank probably a little bit of the show, but also PS5's becoming a lot more readily available to people to purchase. Those are games you want to buy for PS5. There's 100%.
Which also makes sense that Miles Morales is on this too, because if you haven't played the game, if you haven't had a PS5 to play that game, that would probably be, and plus it's probably cheap now, right? It's probably like on the cheaper side. You can definitely buy that, and that would probably be one of the first titles you play on your new PS5. So that makes sense. Fire Emblem Engaged at number 5. I mean, it makes sense, but also you got to think about this game is really not, or it hasn't been popular in the West until recently. So to see Fire Emblem here, like on the top 20 charts, like that's impressive. Like that game is actually, like people are actually noticing this game and seeing that, okay, Fire Emblem is very popular, not just in Japan.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job marketing it, I think, this time in the States. Usually they're pretty hush-hush about the Fire Emblem games. I think after, Three Houses, that's when they started to amp up Fire Emblem in the States. I think those were like the big ones that come out on the consoles, and they're like, this is a good series, go play this series. This is a mainline entry. So I think that's a big part of it is Nintendo's doing a better job of giving it more visibility to the Western audience. So I think that's why it's on this list now.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I wanted to talk about this because I did see a lot of interesting games here that like we can talk about as far as like why are they on the list and why are they not. So good on Dead Space again for just killing it, and I'm sure because of the success that Dead Space has, we should see a Dead Space 2 remake maybe.
I don't know.
I would be down for Dead Space 2 remake.
It's the game's not that old. I mean, again, they did a remake for Last of Us Part 1, so anything could happen at this point. But I don't.
But the better question, we can see a new Dead Space, right? At the very least, like
I would love. Yeah, I would like to see a new Dead Space, like a Dead Space 4 or something like that. I would like to see a Dead Space 4, but will they remake another one? Maybe they go. No. They might. I'm not rematch. I'm going to call them remasters, or not remakes.
Sure. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but they did Resident Evil 2. They did Resident Evil 3. They're doing Resident Evil 4. Why not Dead Space? If people are buying it, why not? And as well,
I can see. To your point, I can see them remaking Dead Space and then just going straight to Dead Space 4, right? They're like, okay, this is Dead Space. You know what this is, but it's not really gonna follow through with the storyline for 2, 3. Instead, it'll just kind of focus on like what 1 did, and then just kind of branch out from there. If that makes sense, you
Yeah,
know?
because 3 was kind of like the black sheep. 3 was
Yeah,
weird. People didn't really like 3 because it felt more actiony. If anything, it kind of lost what it was. But Dead Space
right.
2 is very hardly regarded as well. I don't know
Yes,
if that one's
more
better than 1.
actiony, more on
A
the
little
action
more,
side, but
a tiny bit. Still
a
good.
tiny bit more, but not enough to like make it a full-fledged action game. So it was still like horror. It was still like to its roots. But I can see that. I can see a Dead Space 4 happening because of the success of Dead Space remake, and that excites me. You know, that really excites me.
For
We'll
sure.
see. We shall see. Real quick here, news number 4: PlayStation VR 2 review roundup. Basically, everyone is liking this to an extent. So far, critics have been impressed by the elegant design of the headset and the powerful hardware inside of it. While the PSVR 2 has some incredible tech to marvel at, there are a few caveats as well. As reviewers have noted, Horizon Call of the Mountain is doing the most of the heavy lifting
Yes.
for the software side, right?
Right.
But everything else, as far as the software goes, besides Horizon Call of the Mountain, there's not much there, right? So GameSpot said, I hope that Sony and its partners start thinking outside of the box a bit more when it comes to games and commit to supporting the platform long term in a meaningful way. The excellent hardware deserves as much. IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. VGC gave it a 4 out of 5. And The Verge, a couple quotes here, just says, what if the same but better? Basically, PSVR 2, just better than the PSVR 1. And finally here, Game Informer had this to say, quote, PlayStation VR 2 is the next logical step for the sub-platform. It works with Sony's latest hardware. It improves on basically every aspect of PSVR, but it's not my voice is really cracking. Holy shit. But it's
Drink
not
some
quite
water.
I know, right? But it's not quite the virtual reality revolution I feel like we've been waiting for since the advent of the medium. End quote. Rob, what do you think, man? We were kind of like on this same ballpark. Like we kind of figured this would be the case. Like people would like it, but there's not enough games to really enhance and really show what the headset is really capable of, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. They picked a launch title that already has a hard time with capturing an audience.
Yes,
Right.
dude, yes.
That's the thing. You slap God of War on there, you could be Kratos. People buying this thing.
Ripping dudes to
Yeah,
shreds.
people buying this thing. People buying this thing.
Yeah.
You play as Spider-Man. Even Spider-Man might have been a little better because I'd
Swinging
probably
aspect
throw
to
play
it.
that game. But yeah, I think they picked a game that already is kind of hard of a sell for people because it's not as familiar compared to the other titles. Like if you say everyone knows about God of War, Spider-Man, everyone knows about that stuff. Not everybody knows about Horizon series, right? So that's the only mishap I think there, and it is a launch title. Sometimes the launch titles aren't the greatest. Sometimes they're the best. It really depends. So it's really going to be up to Sony how successful they want this thing to be. Like The Verge said, or Game Informer said, is like they need to support it if they want it to succeed. They need to give that PlayStation Magic, their first party Magic title, put it on the VR, and that's will help it succeed. If you don't, people are just going to forget about it, just like every other VR headset. They're just going to be like, what's the point? If you give me the games that I can only play on this thing, and they're awesome games, yes, it's a win. But
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean,
yeah.
it sucks because I don't want to say this, but Horizon to me, Call of the Mountain, it looks like a tech demo, right? Because it just shows off the beauty of what PSVR 2 is capable
can do
of.
right.
But as far as gameplay wise, I'm not seeing it doing anything that's revolutionary. I mean, it's kind of more of like a climbing simulator from what I've read.
I'm going to stop you there because that's the problem with VR. Everyone's saying it's a 9 out of 10, it's an 8 out of whatever, and it's a fantastic game. But what you're saying is like it doesn't do anything for me, and it's because VR is very hard to show
Right.
visually. Like consuming the marketing for it, it's hard because you're not actually putting it on your head. You're not so. I'd imagine if you place this thing on your head and you actually played it, I think we would have a different tune and be like, no, this game's actually, this was dope. Like that was
Yeah.
so
It
crazy.
was an experience.
Right. But you watching someone play it and doing that, you're probably like, it's okay.
Hmm.
Because you're missing that third dimension of it or the fourth dimension of it, whatever. You know what I mean? So I really do think they need to, word of mouth is big here. Word of mouth is big here.
Word of mouth is big. Again, I think software is huge. It's even bigger. And their first lineup right now doesn't seem that great. It doesn't seem like it's going to really push anybody to buy this thing, right?
I'm not paying $600 to play Horizon Call of the Mountain. I'm not doing that.
Right. And I don't see it getting much better, to be honest. I don't see any of Sony's AAA first party titles really pushing boundaries or even making games for the PSVR 2. I don't see Naughty Dog making anything. I don't see Sucker Punch making anything for this. Like, that's the problem. And I think as much as like, I don't want to say that either, but like Horizon Call of the Mountain, kind of like what you said, it's like one of those like, okay, well, not many people know much about this game. Not many people know about this franchise. Maybe it could do better on a PSVR platform and see how that goes. I almost feel like they're trying to push Horizon to kind of get more awareness, and maybe this is a way for them to kind of show that. I don't know. Regardless, if they don't show the software, if they don't show games for this that are, I mean, they have Resident Evil
4.
7 or 4. Is it
7?
4?
No, it's not Village. They have Village on it. Yeah, they have Village on it.
But it's an old title. Like we've played that, right? It's not anything like crazy. It's not a brand new title or anything, and so that's gonna hurt this game. That's gonna hurt this headset for sure. Yeah.
I will say some couple of good things about it. It is expensive, but there is a simplicity factor for it. If you want to experience VR, the easiest, most streamlined way to experience something in VR, you buy this thing, you plug it into your PS5, you're done. You're playing the game, right? You're in VR. Whereas maybe if you got an Oculus or Hive, you got to connect to your PC. It's a little different. Make sure. I'm saying for someone who really just wants a simple VR experience,
Right.
but it is a high price. I think they went a little overboard with the pricing of it, and I get they're saying like, well, VR headsets are expensive, and I understand that, but for how limited it is, and then plus you gotta buy the games. Like it's not even that you have to like. How much is Call of the Mountain right now? $60, $70.
Yeah. $60.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So it's not. It's definitely for people that have the extra income. You know what? Yeah, I'll buy it. Why not? Like it's cool, but for most people, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
So let me ask you this, Rob. Do you think the PSVR is having the same fate as the Vita? Do you think this is going to be
PSVR 1 to be more be more exact, because it's literally
more so of the Vita, because I don't know. I mean, from what I understand, PSVR 1 had titles, at least decent titles, but the Vita, right, had titles, but then it didn't have Sony support again to back it up. So you think we're going to kind of see the same thing where PSVR 2 is out, but Sony really isn't going to back it up, just like how the Vita wasn't really backed up, or how it should have been? Like I always say, the Vita should have been like a success, but it was the software that killed it,
I mean, that's hard to say, but I think they will try and support it as best they can with the software they have available to them. I don't think they're just going to slap any VR game and release it on there. I think they have a plan in mind if they wanted to come out with this premium experience that you're paying for. So I just think it's going to be something you kind of forget about. The Vita, you didn't really forget about. The Vita was a good console in itself. Like it did things all right, but I think this, I think it's more closer to just VR, huh?
You think it's going to be forgettable?
I feel like most VR headsets are. Everyone that I talk to, every single person I talk to that has a VR headset, I ask them like, "Do you like it? Is it cool?" They're like, "Yeah, it's fun."
But
and then I don't touch it and then it just
Yeah.
sits in the corner collecting dust. Everyone I've talked to says that about their VR headset. Why is this one an exception?
Right. I think it's just the process of, oh, I want to play this certain game. Now I gotta put on the headset. I gotta grab the controllers. I gotta turn on my cons. Oh wait, my batteries are dead for one of my controllers. Let me charge it. Oh wait, I gotta connect this PSVR headset because it's tethered to a wire now. It's like there's just too many steps involved. I feel like for you to like really want to play.
Well,
Okay.
it's a different experience. It's like if you want to be in it, you want to be like up and around and moving and stuff like that. I get it, but I just think it's gonna go the same route as all the other headsets where people it just collects dust in the corner. That's what it's. I'll tell you right now. My Steam Deck, it's right now in my drawer collecting. Yeah, I'm not touching it. I don't play it right now.
Really?
I'm not. I haven't touched it in like I want to say a week and a half, 2 weeks. I haven't touched that thing.
Oh, that's not bad.
But I'm saying I've been playing with this thing. That's what I've been
Switch.
playing with. This much because it's just so easy. It's so small and light, and I can just take it anywhere. And the battery lasts a long time. This Steam Deck dies in 2 seconds. So I like the simplicity of this.
It has. I mean, you could buy a dock for the Steam Deck, but it has the Switch has a dock. You just plop it in there, and you're
Right,
charging.
I don't even have my dock. I just put my cord. I have a cord. I just and it's good to go. So but what I'm saying is that the VR headset is kind of like that in a sense. It's a luxury, kind of like the Steam Deck is. The Steam Deck can be a luxury type thing, but you don't really you're missing out if you don't have one.
Yeah,
You know,
no, you're true. Yeah,
so
you're right. I don't see this really taking off, unfortunately, but we'll see.
we'll
I mean,
see.
maybe they might pull something out, and maybe there'll be a ton of games that will really catch our attention. Right? I could again pitch that God of War game to Sony and see what people will say, because I would be
Listen,
more inclined to buying a PSVR headset if I see God of War and it looks really good.
listen. Sony wants to send me a PSVR headset for free.
By all means,
I'll
we
take
can
it.
review it.
I'll
At
take it.
all you want, man. We can review all you want.
Yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. But yeah, we just need to give it time. It hasn't come out yet. Again, it's just
Yeah.
word of mouth. But the Call of Mountain, good game.
Cool, man, good game. Before we end the news side here, rapid fire news here. We got a couple little small tidbits here. Bayonetta 3 sells 3 million copies. Blank review roundup, 70 Metacritic score and a 74 open Metacritic. Real quick before we move on to that one, Rob, I know you were kind of eyeing that game. What do you think of these review scores for it?
It's about right. I feel like it is a 2-player game, so you can only play with the person. It's not really a single player game, and I heard that it's kind of confusing, but I didn't expect this to blow people's socks. I'm still interested because the art style is cool, and it's only $15. Why are you laughing?
$15. But it's like a 3-hour game. It's like super short too.
That's fine.
So
I'm okay with that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a good thing.
You
I'm
buy
saying
this game because the art style is beautiful,
pretty.
and it's just like a little quick. Like, okay, I had a fun time doing that. So
Yeah. The reason why I laughed because when you said blow someone's socks off, I just imagined like socks
just
being
blowing
blown
off. Yeah, just like
Great. Sony rumored to be making earbuds for PS5. Interesting. No, nothing about that. That's all.
Just
we've
rumors,
heard
just
so
yeah.
far. Hogwarts Legacy is the most. Oh, sorry. Hogwarts Legacy's most popular house is Slytherin, which we are both
surprise,
part of,
surprise.
squad Slytherin side.
I really thought you'd be a Gryffindor. I really thought I was gonna sort you in Gryffindor, but
Are they like no. I honestly, so real quick, Hogwarts Legacy, when I was deciding on what house to pick, they kind of like told me like, hey, you should be a Slytherin. And funny enough, I was like, well, that's what I wanted to pick anyway, so are you reading my mind or what's going on? So I just I was like, cool, fine. So that's that. But and then Horizon Forbidden West comes to PlayStation Plus Extra this month. Interesting. Again, another reason why we think Horizon is like the redheaded stepchild. I feel like.
well, I mean, quite literally, because Alloy is redheaded. So
there you go. See,
I think they're just trying to jam Horizon Forbidden West or Horizon just down your throat. And again,
please like this game, please.
Yeah, no, and I watch people play. I see screenshots of it, and it looks so cool. I'm like, that looks freaking awesome to do that.
You've played it, man.
I've played it, but there's just something about it that I think it was Tony, right? He said he played it and he had almost had to force himself to play it, like at times. And I feel like that's the kind of game, like, you don't really want that. You don't want to have to force yourself to play a game. You want to
Right.
be crackhead addicted to a game like Elden Ring. I
Right.
couldn't wait
Right.
to play that game. So
Literally, you could not. You were
could not wait. Just
literally
want to get out of
playing
my
that
life. Get
game.
out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. But yeah, interesting that it's on PlayStation Plus a year from the date that it
a
was
year. That's pretty
released. Yeah,
quick.
pretty quick. So everyone, that ends the news side for this week. Now we're gonna move on to in-game chat. Rob, let's talk about PS5 some more. With the release of the PSVR 2, let's talk about must-have PS5 accessories. So with the PS5 now becoming more readily available, we decided to rank the accessories you can get for your brand new shiny PS5. So I'm just gonna name a list of accessories that you can buy and the price as well.
Let's do it.
So
Let's do it one by one. We'll go through and we'll maybe
yes,
go
okay.
by like, should you buy it?
Should you
Should
buy
you
it or
not
should you not
buy
buy
it?
it?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
is it worth it? So
All right. So let's start with the DualSense, another controller, right? You obviously get a PS5 controller out of the box. Should you buy another one? $69.99. What do you think, Rob?
you're saying the normal DualSense? We're not
Just the
talking about the
normal
Edge.
one, not the Edge right now. Just the normal one.
Okay, so the DualSense controller on its own, I think if you're doing long gaming sessions, I found it kind of annoying that I had to keep charging my controller. When I played Elden Ring, I think I had to charge my controller quite a bit compared to like my Xbox controller. And
Right.
I think, and especially if you want to play 2 player, I think it's needed. I think, and it has so many fun colors right now. I think it's needed. You know, what do you think? I mean, you
At the
have like 8 of them.
very,
You have like 20 of them right now. Jesus.
at the very least, you should have two, right? Don't be like me. I mean, I collect them, right? So I have a bunch in the back here somewhere, but you should at least have two. And not even if you don't have anyone to come and just play co-op with you, that's fine. Just have two just so that you can switch off when you're charging one of them, right? Which brings me to the next one, DualSense Edge. Now this one's a hefty price at $199. So you said, Rob, yeah, we should definitely get at least another extra controller, right?
Yes.
Should you just go full blown all out and just buy a DualSense Edge instead another regular controller? How hardcore Sony fan are you, I guess, is the real question.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is this thing? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think this controller is worth the premium it's asking for.
Okay.
Compared to the normal DualSense, in my opinion. I think, but it's also kind of annoying because I also think the Xbox Elite controller is a must instead of the normal Xbox controller.
Interesting. Keep in mind, I think the Xbox Elite is $50 cheaper as well
Than this?
than the DualSense.
Yeah.
Is it?
We could check. We could fact check it. But I'm gonna say this is a luxury item. Like, if you got the cash to spend, get it. It looks great. It's beautiful. But I think the 4-hour battery life would piss me off. I think it's 4 hours. I think it's something like that, right? I think it's like pretty.
So it's $169.99 right now.
Okay, so this is 200.
Elite 2 is, yeah. So
yeah, I think they need. I think they need to make the battery better. I don't feel good about spending $200 and it has an inferior battery compared to the thing that it's supposedly better than.
100%.
That's just me.
No, you make a fair point. I agree with you with that in that sense. I have mine. I have my DualSense, and have I found it annoying? Not really, not quite. I've played Hogwarts Legacy. I've played Hitman, World of Assassins on it for quite some time when I was playing. So it's died once on me so far. Not died, but like it's
It was
it's
low,
asking me to
yeah, low
charge.
battery, yeah.
And again, they try to kind of work around that because they have the long cord that you can charge it with, and it's actually now you can connect it to the top of the controller, and then you can lock it so that it's kind of like an extension to the controller. So, I mean, again, why make it wireless then if that's the case? You know what I mean? So, it again, catch 22. But I think, is it worth the price? I don't think it is.
Okay.
This is me buying. This is me having it. Me actually purchasing this. I don't think it's necessarily worth it.
I think that's what it is. I think if you just bought a new PS5 and you want to buy an extra controller, I would say skip this, buy an extra controller, and get a game. Extra cast, get a game with it. Because now you're at your 120, you got an extra controller and you got an extra game. Versus if you buy this thing, you're what for? If you buy the digital version, what's that? It's 400 the digital version or 500?
Digital version, what?
Of the PS5.
Oh, that one is for $399.
Yeah. So then you're at $600 now for out the gate without a game. Now you're at 560. So I think if you just bought a PS5, no, that's me.
Yeah.
If you had it for a while,
like, yep. If you had it for a while and you're like, all right, what else can I get? Maybe you can kind of start looking at this as like your premium controller, and like this is like the definitive controller you'll use for everything. Moving on here, 3D Pulse headset, $99. Rob, what do you think? I think you have one, right? What are your quick impressions of the 3D Pulse headset?
I will be honest with you. This is it. I have it, guys.
Yep.
It was a gift. I'm so glad I didn't buy this thing myself. I really don't like it.
Yeah.
I really don't like it. It looks cool. It looks like futuristic, cool. like the PS5. It's not that comfortable for long sessions. It doesn't have like an extendable like mic like this does, like this one that right here. So it's just a weird.
It sounds system. Muffly.
It sounds muffly. Yes, it does sound muffly. And then the most annoying thing about I think this thing is the buttons on it. As you can see, they kind of jammed. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but they kind of jammed all of the buttons on one side of the thing. There's no buttons on the other side of it. It's just there. And when you're hitting this thing, when you're like it's on your head, you don't know which button is which because they all feel the same, and they're just it's just not a great experience in my opinion. I would personally stay away from this headset and go to something, spend a little extra money, get like an a Steel Series, something from a different brand, because I really just don't like this headset. I don't like it. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. I have the previous model of it, and I had the same issues, the same complaints, where especially with the buttons, where they were all so close together, I didn't know which one I was pressing. So because they didn't really make them clear enough, like when you're feeling them. How I have the similar issue with the Switch, where like I'm trying to find out where like the volume is, and I'm like, there's not enough like curvature to it or something where I just can't tell which one is which. So I have to like sometimes take off my headset, look at it. I'm like, okay, this is the button, and then keep pressing it if I want to increase or decrease the volume. Similar thing. I have an issue, a little side thing here, but my Steel Series, the ones that I use for my PS5, the ones that you have on, do you ever have an issue where sometimes like your shoulder like hits the volume, and so it like messes your volume up?
Yep.
Like,
it does a weird thing. Anything. Yeah, so like it'll hit the rocker, the volume rocker, and it just will silence. Yeah, it's
the rocker is too sensitive.
Yes, yes. Like, but at least I can find the rocker. At least I can find the rocker in the thing. I can't even find the rocker in that stupid thing. So, Tony, Samurai KBG said, this is the only PS accessory I'm tempted to buy for some reason, but Rob has me unsold now. Thanks. Yes, save your money, man. Don't buy
Yeah,
this
he
thing, please.
saved you $99.
I saved you
That's how you should
$99.
look
Do
at
not
it.
buy it. Yeah.
100%. Next up here, PS5 camera, $59.99. Rob, do you think that's worth a purchase if you are finally getting your PS5 for the first time?
Okay. If you're going to stream a
Yes.
lot on your
That's the deal.
PS5 and you want to stream it to Twitch or YouTube, I think this is a must for you. I think also if you like leave in your living room or something like that and you don't want to do the whole capture card, put it into your connect to your PC, you know what I mean? Like it's a pain in the ass. I think this is a nice little thing to just have. This is an excellent gift to give to someone who has a PS5. Do you need to buy this thing like day one as soon as you get one? No, but it's a kind of a cool little thing just to have. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kelvin, but is this the only camera that will work for a PS5? Or do
That's
I
a good question.
Okay.
I want to say yes, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that.
Okay.
I actually do have this camera. I bought
Okay.
it
I didn't know you had it.
when I was doing the streams for back in the day when I was doing the streams for Returnal. And so it's actually really good. It's not bad. Quality wise is nothing, nothing crazy. But I guess the PS5 does a good job of kind of giving you the tools to stream because it is kind of it wants you to stream. It has like the capability of streaming and stuff like that. So you can do things like adjusting your camera window so you can make like a circular, you can make like a box, you can change where you want it in the on the screen, whether you want it on the top left corner, bottom left corner. You can do things like that, which is kind of nice. And you can kind of like remove like a transparent background, so you can do little things like that, not necessarily like what the camera's function is capable of. But the only thing I had issues with, and that's just my setup, is I didn't know where to put this thing because the way
on top of your TV.
It's
your TV's mounted up high. Yeah,
exactly.
No, yeah.
So the way my situation is, it's too high. So what I was doing was like building up a bunch of books so it could like face me. But then it got to a point where it's just covering like a little bit of my screen. So I'm like, what the fuck? I don't really like how it looks. Like I don't really like how it's made because like it does a good job of like sitting nicely on your TV, on top of your TV, but you can't really control much of it once it's laying there. I mean, you can, but it kind of you don't.
Yeah,
have
I see. If you look at it right here on the screen, you could see it's not very like the cord's kind of the way. You can't really move it around. Like, yeah, it looks like it's kind of.
If you want to turn it a certain way, like you can't turn it side to side. It's either up or down. And so it kind of like really limits your field of view, your motion. Like, so it's not the best if you don't have a prime like setup, basically.
Okay, so you need to kind of have a setup to support this thing in a sense.
In a way.
Okay.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
So that's
maybe a skip if you don't have if you don't plan on streaming, you should definitely just skip this thing.
If you don't have any desire to stream, there's no reason for you to have this camera.
Okay.
Moving on here, this one, the NVMe SSD 1 terabyte, $9.99. Rob, I don't know about you, but I think any like standard, any drive you should definitely have. Like you should definitely upgrade your PS5. Not maybe as soon as you get it, but very soon in the near future, right? Like a solid state drive, like anything like that to upgrade your storage is a must, in my opinion.
Yeah, so like this one right now that links to their website is the what is it, 1 terabyte? Yeah, 1 terabyte for $134. And then 2 gig is $240. PlayStation 5 comes with 825 gigs.
Yep.
Obviously, some of that is dedicated to like the OS and all the other bloatware that's on the PS5 to make it run. So you're really working with what, like 700 and change, maybe, if that, something like that, right?
And let me tell you, Rob, you waste, like you need to make room at a certain point.
I know. I'm familiar. I don't
dealt with it. Yeah.
I every time a new game comes out, I have to like go in there and figure out what I don't want there anymore. Like I have to delete it from my hard drive.
Right.
It's a pain in the ass. Don't get me wrong. It is very annoying. But to me, and this is an argument, the way PlayStation games come out, like you buy your PlayStation because you want to play those AAA titles, you want to play those big PlayStation releases. They don't come out that often, so I'm only really playing those games on my PS5 because I already kind of beat the ones that already came out before, right? Like God of War, I beat it already. It's done. I could just uninstall it. Wow, I'm not going to go back to it. It's done. Elden Ring, I beat it. I'm not going to go back to it. Horizon Forbidden West, I could probably just uninstall that because I don't have plans on playing it. But those games came out like a year ago, and to me, I don't think it's like a must. It is annoying. And it is annoying 100%. But I don't think it's a must right away.
I think it is.
Yeah, I know.
If you're planning to, if you bought this PS5 and you're planning to play a bunch of games that you haven't played, and this is a year's worth catalog, you want to stack up on space, right?
So then the 1 terabyte doesn't make sense. Then you're not really getting that much more space at $135 because the PS5 comes with 825. You're not getting that much more.
You're not getting that much, but you have plenty of space now that you're not worried about deleting anything or having that like hard stop saying like, hey, you have to delete something before you play this game. I mean, it's all about convenience, in my opinion. You buy that, you don't have to worry about it for quite some time. You don't have to worry about
I would get
your hard space.
Yeah, I think I would argue I would get the 2 terabyte one then.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yes, I would agree. Get a 2 terabyte. We just have the 1 terabyte here, just whatever.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just.
But if you get a 2 terabyte and it's up roughly like 150, what's the 2 terabyte there? How much is that? I can't.
240.
240. So okay, so if you want to spend an extra like $150 for a 2 terabyte, you're good. Like you don't have to worry about space for a very long time.
Yeah, you're set. You probably don't have to replace that thing for like you're done. So, but it is pricey. It is $240.
It's pricey, and you just spent $500. So, do you want to do that? I mean, it is less expensive than a Wilson's Edge. So,
I have the solution. You buy this thing when it goes on sale. That is when you buy it. When it goes on sale,
Black Friday, baby.
That's when you buy it. That's when you get. That's when you get the deal.
On your birthday, just ask for a bunch of Amazon cards, and then you just buy it.
Perfect.
Yeah. DualSense charging station, $29.99. I'm gonna say no.
No. Yes.
I don't see the point in that. I don't like. No. I don't. No. Don't waste your money on that.
What, you are a crazy ass man. I love it.
Oh, what?
I love my charging station.
I thought you were on my side.
No, I love my charging station. It is the best PlayStation accessory I have.
Really? I didn't know you had one. First of all.
Yeah, it is. Okay. It is amazing. I love that thing so much.
But why? Like, what is it? You just have both of them charged, okay? But don't you charge one already, and then if that one dies, you just have another one fully charged to like back it up?
But like, how would it be? Like, then I have to like go and put the cables in 2 separate ones and deal with that. And I have the cable. Listen, I can't really show you right now, but it's right next to me. But I have my 2 controllers. They're long little cradles. I pick one controller up, boot up the game, start the game.
Put one down.
If I happens that my controller is dying, just put it back on this little cradle, pick up my other controller, use that one. I'm good to go. Put it back in its place. I am always charged up anytime. I don't have to worry about cables and nothing. It works. It's just done and it's ready. I don't have to think about it. And it's $30. $30. That is for me. If you have more than one controller, that is a must.
Really? Okay. All right.
I'm gonna buy you one for your fucking birthday or something.
Oh, sure. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And you're gonna see that as the way.
Now, do you think the PS5 media remote also $29.99, $30. Do you think that's worth the price? Do you
No,
think that's worth a
no,
purchase?
no, no.
I had this in my cart when I bought the PS5 through Amazon. And I'm like, oh, I got the PS5. I got it. Like, it's mine. You know, I purchased it. I got the confirmation. Let me start buying a shit ton of accessories. And that was one of them. I had that for a very long time in my cart. And then I'm like, why am I buying this?
Why? When are you watching
Right.
Netflix? When are you
Right.
watching
Right.
YouTube on your
Exactly.
PS5?
And so I immediately removed that after about a month or so. And I'm like, yeah, that was a good save there.
It's 30. It's not the worst thing. It's $30. It's not like it's $60 or something stupid
It's
like
just
that.
another controller. Like, why? Again, what would I use that for? I'm not gonna like. It's a controller that I already have a controller to do the same exact thing. Like, what? You know what I mean? It's just not. If I'm already holding a controller, why am I gonna switch over to another controller? That's
Yeah, save
infuriating.
your money and put it towards another controller, like an actual
Right.
like dual sets. Like,
Exactly. So that's definitely no. Moving on here, PlayStation Plus Extra, $100. If you say it's not worth it, I'm gonna kill you.
yeah, it's worth it. If you just got a PlayStation, like there's so many games on there. Like you don't have to buy games. You just play out the backlog of all the PlayStation titles. You just buy that, you're good to go. That is a must if you just got a PlayStation 5 to get all the games. But if you have one game in mind, like Last of Us Part 1, like you wanted to just play that, then hold off on that and then play that game and then get that. But I would say the Essential, or sorry, the Plus. Is it Essential Plus and what's the last one? Extra? PlayStation, it's Essential, Extra.
Essential,
What's the last one? I feel like
Extra,
PS
Plus,
Plus. Here we go. I got it. Premium.
Premium.
Okay, you don't need a premium. You don't need a premium.
Don't do that.
Get
Yeah.
get the extra.
Again, you could do another hack where you just collect a bunch of like Amazon gift cards, or just not even don't even do that. Just on your birthday, just ask somebody to buy you a PlayStation Plus extra card, and you will always have one on deck every single year, and you'll never have to buy it. That's what I do.
That's it.
You know,
That's it. Everyone,
not everyone can cough up $100, but if they can, there you go. Rob, the last one on our list here is what we just spoke about not too long ago: PlayStation VR 2 for $549. We just read the reviews. Pretty solid. Nothing. It's not a bad. It's not bad reviews. It got great reviews, but like we talked about, it doesn't have the hardware or the software to back it up. Do you think someone should like out the door come out with a PS5 and a PSVR 2?
No, you're not walking out of there $1,200. Like if you're just buying a PS5, your first game's not going to be Horizon. What is it called?
Horizon, the
Return of the Wild or
Return of the, yeah, exactly.
Call on the Mountain or something like that. Yeah. You're not doing that. So no, this is not worth it day one. If you've had your PS5 for a while and you're bored and you want to try something else, then be my guest. But there's not enough data on this thing yet. There's not enough games on it yet. I don't think it's worth the price of more than a PS5 itself. Do you know what I mean? So this is a hard pass for me.
Yeah, save your money. It is not worth it, especially when you just got a PS5, man. Like you just got a brand new PS5. Go play those fucking games that you haven't played in a year. Go play Miles Morales. Go play Spider-Man 1. Like go play Ghost of Tsushima if you haven't played that on PS4. Like there's a bunch of games that you could play. You're essentially buying two consoles, and you don't want to do that. Just buy the PS5. And again, like Rob said, if you feel like there's nothing to play or you want a new experience out of your PS5, maybe the PSVR 2 is worth the price. But for now, I think you should hold off until we get more software, more game titles to really show what this thing is capable of.
Perfectly said, Kelvin. And I think on
that note, we are done with episode 108. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. Rob, any last comments before we leave?
No, I won't see you guys next week. I will be listening to you and wish you best luck. You have a very special guest coming on, and he's going to be awesome. And I approve very much and talk about fun things. But that's all I have.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Stay tuned for that. Wish you well on your adventure, and you're going to have a blast. Let us know how that is when you come back.
Will do.
And again, thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time, see you guys.